My name's Eli, and I grew up in the twisty hollers of the Appalachian Mountains on the Virginia side, where roads snake like veins and spring melt turns everything to mush. This was in April 2024, during a heavy thaw. A handful of neighbors and I live in a pocket of 3 valleys, connected by one 2-lane blacktop that barely holds up. Folks here fix trucks and patch roofs when the weather turns sideways. That week I was working on an old Ford carburetor when the ground gave way. A logging truck, heavy with pine, hit a soft spot where the culvert had washed out. The whole stretch slumped into the creek bed 20 feet down. Boom. It cut us off from the county seat. No warning, just dust and roar echoing off the ridges. At first it felt almost funny. Phones flickered. Store shelves cleared by noon. Canned soup, bread, powdered milk. My pantry had beans and rice, and I shared a pot with Widow Hargrove, whose stove was low on propane. By day 2, a man with a chainsaw started knocking at doors, peddling diesel from jugs in his truck bed. Double price, cash only. "Roads'll clear soon," he said, eyes darting. I bought a gallon for the generator, which hummed like it had a cough. On day 3, livestock vanished. Old man Carver's goats, 3 gone, fence cut neat with wire clippers. My chickens clucked less. One hen had a bare patch where feathers were torn away. Then Ellie disappeared. Sweet, 16, Tom's niece. She'd been helping neighbors check generators, ponytail swinging, pink backpacks stuffed with tools her daddy taught her to use. Tom radioed frantic. She headed to the Jenkins place at dusk and never came back. We grabbed lanterns and searched. At dawn, we found her jacket snagged on barbed wire by the old fence line. Thorns hooked deep as if it had been pulled. The ground was churned. Small boot prints mixed with bigger ones, and a trail cutting toward a forgotten service road rangers use for fire breaks. Tire marks ended sharp at the culvert edge. Below, the creek ran black and fast, swallowing light. We stood there in the cold. Tom fingered the sleeve, tracing the crooked embroidered flowers she had sewn. "She wouldn't just run," he said. I thought she might have twisted an ankle and crawled into brush. I called the sheriff. They said a deputy would come when the road was passable. That afternoon, a contractor arrived with a big rig and dozer. He parked and fenced a staging spot by the washout. Traces turned up. On day 4, my traps were empty and the squirrels seemed gone. A cherry candy wrapper rested in reeds where Ellie sometimes leaned. The next morning, a single snow boot lay half buried in churchyard dirt. Tom's face folded when I showed him. "Eli, where's the other?" We pressed the sheriff again, but overnight the report changed to endangered runaway. It was nonsense. Ellie loved her uncle's stories. She wouldn't bolt without a word. Rumors settled. Folks talked about a landowner upstream who wanted a private cut-through, and the possibility of insurance covering the wreck. In the blue-hour hush, I would sit in my shed and listen to the ham radio. Men's voices would come through. "You checked the culvert yet?" And "Yeah, but double bag if you pull her." Static swallowed the rest. I held the mic with white knuckles and didn't key in. Irrational? Maybe. I thought it would stir things up worse than staying quiet. By week's end, the county shoved gravel and patched the road. Trucks rolled through like nothing had happened. Tom drove that stretch slow and stared at the fence line. I slowed too, ears tuned for splashes under the bridge. Engines idle late sometimes up on the service road. I tell myself it's hunters or raccoons, but Ellie's boot sits on my shelf with mud flaked off, and some nights I can't stop seeing the creek swallow a small shape. A few of us kept watches. Tom takes the late shift. I take the early. Mrs. Keene leaves a bowl of coffee warm. We swap details quietly. License plates, a number painted on a trailer, the contractor's clipboard. None of it made sense on paper, but in the holler sense it stacked up. Strangers showing up quick. Bodies missing. Talk of double pay. We can't prove a thing, but we feel it in our bones. We keep swapping small signs. Broken twine, tire scuffs, a flashlight left in reeds, and pass them between neighbors, hoping for any answers soon. I never really told anyone the whole story about what happened that fall. I mean, bits and pieces, sure. But the whole thing? It still makes me uncomfortable to think about. I was helping out at the food bank back then. Nothing fancy, just sorting canned goods and making sure folks got their groceries. October had been pretty busy. A lot of families needed help before winter hit. That's when the timber crew rolled into town. They were here for some conservation thing, clearing old growth or whatever. The county hired them to clean up a section near Miller's Ridge. There were maybe 6 or 7 guys, all living in this beat-up van parked behind Denny's. One of them came by the food bank on a Tuesday. Young guy, couldn't have been more than 25. Had this smile that came too easy, you know? Like he practiced it in mirrors. But every time someone opened a door, even just the storage closet, he'd jump a little. Weird thing to notice, but I did. He took extra food, more than he needed for just himself. Said it was for his crew, but I don't know. Something felt rehearsed about how he asked for it. Week later, Mrs. Henderson from First Baptist went missing. She was this sweet old lady who made these amazing biscuits for church dinners. Her granddaughter Sarah found her apartment unlocked on a Wednesday morning. Door wide open, kitchen chair knocked over, but her purse was sitting neat as you please on the table. Car still in the driveway. The police looked around, asked some questions, figured maybe she wandered off. She was getting up there in age. But Sarah knew better. Her grandma was sharp as a tack. She wouldn't just walk away from a hot cup of coffee. A few days after that, the timber crew got some tickets, expired work papers or something. Nothing serious, just paperwork stuff. But then these federal guys showed up asking questions, and suddenly the whole crew packed up and left town in their van. Just like that. Here's where it gets strange though. Sarah was looking through classified ads about a month later. Garage sale listings, trying to find furniture for her new place. She saw this photo in an ad from 3 towns over. Old picture of some guys at a cookout. She recognized one of them right away. The young guy from the crew. But what made her call me was the necklace he was wearing in the photo. This little silver chain with a cross. She had the exact same necklace in a picture of her grandma from 10 years back. When she told me this, I started thinking about other things I'd noticed. How the crew ate at the diner, real careful, watching everyone. How they asked questions about who lived alone, who had family nearby. Innocent sounding stuff. But now, and Mrs. Henderson's herb tin. She always kept this old Maxwell House can full of dried herbs on her counter, made tea with them. That was gone when they searched her place, but nobody thought much of it at the time. The county prosecutor called it a cold case pretty quick. No body, no ransom note, no clear motive. Just an old woman who disappeared. But after Sarah told me about that photo, people in town started remembering other things. Little stuff that went missing over the years. Family quilts, old jewelry, pictures in silver frames, and friends who said they were moving to the city but never sent Christmas cards or called back. Made you wonder how many times a crew like that had rolled through. How many Mrs. Hendersons there really were. I pinned her photo up on the bulletin board at Murphy's Diner. People still stop and look at it sometimes. Leave a quarter or a dime next to it. Don't know why they do that, but it feels right somehow. Better than pretending we forgot, I guess. The thing that bothers me most? How easy it would be. Show up in a small town, do some legitimate work, gain people's trust. Figure out who's vulnerable, who's got nice things, who won't be missed right away. Then just disappear. I still think about that young man's smile sometimes, how it never quite reached his eyes, and how he knew exactly what to say to get that extra food from me, like he'd done it before. My name's Mike, and I live out in eastern Tennessee, these foggy ridges of the Appalachians where the hollers swallow your voice if you shout too loud. This happened last fall, 2024, I think. Yeah, leaves turning that burnt orange, air crisp like biting an apple. I drive logging roads for work, hauling timber from spots so remote even the crows get lost. That day, I was in my old F-150, bed loaded with cut pine, bouncing down this rutted track off Highway 321, maybe 30 miles shy of any gas station. GPS app blinked out first. No signal, it said. Then poof, black screen. I cursed, smacked the dash like that ever helps. Forgot my thermos that morning, the one with the lid that leaks if you tilt it wrong. So my coffee sloshed warm in a styrofoam cup from the diner, staining my jeans brown. Truck gave up next. Engine coughed like my grandpa's old smoker lungs, then quit. Steam hissed from the hood, middle of damn nowhere. No bars on the phone, sun dipping low already. Figured I'd hoof it to the next clear spot, maybe flag a rig. Grabbed my jacket, the flannel one with the tear in the cuff from snagging briars last week, and a flashlight that barely lit Jack. Walked 2 hours, boots sucking mud, pines whispering overhead like they had secrets. That's when I saw it. This cluster of shacks, tucked in a clearing off the path. Looked like an old logging camp, sagging roofs and rusted saw blades propped against walls. Wasn't on my topo maps, though. I'd checked them that morning over eggs that were runny 'cause the cook was hung over. Abandoned, folks said, decades back after some union bust-up. Tire tracks cut fresh into the dirt, though. Wide, like heavy-duty loaders, mud still soft on the edges. Heart picked up, but nah, probably surveyors or poachers. Pushed the door on the nearest bunkhouse, creaked like my floorboards do when the wind rattles the shutters at home. Inside? Warm. Stove embers glowing faint. Coffee pot on the ring with sludge that steamed when I nudged it. Smelled burnt. Fresh burnt. Table had newspapers scattered, dated 3 days prior. Headlines jagged, every article below 'em sliced clean out with scissors. Just titles left. Hiker vanishes near Bald Ridge. Couple's camp gear found empty. Pages yellow at the folds, but ink sharp. Sat there a minute, cup halfway to my mouth, thinking maybe squatters. Dumb logic. Who reads news and guts it like that? Main office next door, door ajar. Maps pinned everywhere. Hand-drawn lines circling spots in red. Last seen here. Backpack only. Dozens. Names scribbled. Hikers, campers, dates going back years. Polaroids thumbtacked beside. A lone boot by a stream. Backpack straps frayed on a stump. Water bottle half buried in leaves. Belongings, all of them, posed neat like evidence. My throat went dry, set the cup down clumsy, sloshed the last drops. Radio on the desk, old ham set crackling static. Flipped it on, desperate for a signal. Blue Ford, plates from Sullivan County, stalled at mile 17. Voices, 2 of them. Casual like talking weather. Owners on foot now. Headed campway. Description matched. My jacket. The load in back. Clicked off quick, hand shaking on the knob. Dove out the back, into brambles that tore my sleeves. Hid in a thicket, belly down, watching from ferns. Night fell sticky, bugs humming my ears. First dawn they came. 4 guys in company vests, the logging firm's logo, ones I knew from mill tags, fanning out with leashes on hounds that sniffed low, baying soft. Methodical, quartering the ground like they'd done it before. One paused by my hide, lit a smoke, ash glowing red. He poked the office? Yeah, but he'll circle back for the truck. Laughed low. I pissed myself a little then, warm trickle down my leg, irrational, freezing still as a rabbit. Thought of my cat, how she'd yowl at mice under the porch, fearless, wished I had her nerve. 2 nights like that. Scraped bark for water, berries that puckered my tongue sour. They quartered close once, dogs tugging toward my spot, but a coon spooked 'em off trail. Slipped out 3rd morning, belly hollow, paralleled the ridge till I hit the state blacktop. Flagged a mail jeep, driver wide-eyed at my scratches. Cops came later, poked the camp. Abandoned, they said. Maps gone, papers burned in the stove. No names matched the vests. I drive main drags now, windows up tight. Hear hounds some nights, baying distant over the hills. Tell myself it's fox hunts, but That coffee pot? Still wonder if it cooled before they left.